Hello, my name is Kathryn, and I am a stage 4 colon cancer thriver. My story actually begins back in 1995 when I received a phone call from my mother telling me that my dad had been diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. He lived for 6 months, and I was at his side when he died. Fast forward a number of years to when I was 42 years old. In about November of 2014, I started to experience extreme exhaustion. Now, prior to this, I had been a marathon runner. I knew what tired felt like, but this was a different kind of tired. I couldn't walk from my portable outside of the school to the school building without having to stop and catch my breath. My bowel movement started to change. I started having severe abdominal pain. I went to the emergency room and was told that I was constipated. They sent me home with painkillers and a hope that everything would get better. I also started to experience a pain on my left hand side that I thought might have actually been my pancreas. It turns out that it wasn't. When they discovered that I had cancer, it was actually on the right hand side of my colon. So we started to go to the doctor and say, listen, something's happening here. And he did not want to talk about cancer. And I had to say to him, do you remember that my father died of stage 4 colon cancer? And he said, we're not talking about cancer. It was actually a walk-in clinic doctor who I had gone to see because my family doctor had me on medication for gastro reflux, which I knew it wasn't. And that medication was actually making me unwell. So I went to the walk-in clinic, and this doctor sat with me for half an hour and listened to my concerns. He sent me for an ultrasound, and that's where they found the spots on my liver. And when we mentioned that to the family doctor, he said, that's just a red herring. We're not talking about cancer. Finally, he decided to send me for an upper GI scope. And when I was talking with the surgeon, I started to tell him about the other things that were happening in my body. And in his experience, I could see it in his face. He knew that there was more going on. So he scheduled me for a colonoscopy. That colonoscopy saved my life. In February of 2015, I went in for my colon cancer surgery. My oncologist was amazing. He was very supportive. But when they told me stage 4, I went back to that place of being a 23-year-old watching her father die. That was hard. So my husband and I decided that we were going to give it a 100% chance every day of survival, that we were going to move through this process together. He became the most amazing caregiver. He signed up for marriage. He didn't sign up for this, but this is what he did. He did it so well and so lovingly. He took care of me. He took care of our 2 teenage boys. And I was able to navigate the cancer process because of him. So I had my colon surgery, and then I had 5 rounds of chemotherapy. And then I was able to take some time off in order to rest and reset in my body. And in that time, I did things that brought me joy. I traveled as I was able to. We had mandatory family fun days with our kids. We did things to build memories because we didn't know what the end result was going to be. In July of 2015, I had my right lobe liver resection. I then went into 7 more rounds of chemotherapy. And on December 22nd, 2015, I rang the bell, walked out of the chemo suite, and they said, congratulations, you can go back to living your life now. And I didn't know what that meant. How do you go back to living your life when your body has been changed? And more importantly, when your spirit has been changed, when the who you are is no longer who you are. There is a lot of trauma that comes from stage 4 colon cancer diagnosis and the subsequent surgeries and treatments, and also the doctor not listening to me. But I have moved forward. I spent a lot of time in 2016 wandering around my house, not really sure of who I was anymore because I wasn't going back to my job. My job was to heal my body so that I could work on recurrence prevention, so that I could be present for my family, so that I could figure out who I wanted to be when I grew up. But I started to get curious. I started not to wonder, why did cancer happen? Because that's not a question that was going to help me. But I wondered, what can I do to make sure this doesn't happen again? And I got really curious about food. I started to wonder, what's the relationship between what happened in my body and what I was eating, and how I can heal my body by changing how I eat. From the nutrition education, I started to run workshops in my community because I started to see how important prevention actually could be. So for me, it was really important to start sharing with other people that there are things you can do to try to prevent cancer. There are lifestyle changes that you can make. And then I kept moving forward, but with this feeling of like emptiness inside of me. I had this feeling of there has to be something else because my soul, my spirit wasn't healed yet. I was doing everything physically, but inside of myself, I was still angry. I was still sad. I was still grieving the loss of so many things, and I didn't know what to do with it. My niece actually suggested that I go to yoga teacher training, and I could not have been in a more perfect place when I found out that my cancer had metastasized to my right lung. Back in I went for more surgery, had that tumor taken out of my right lung, and the next weekend I went back and graduated from my yoga teacher training program. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity because it has really helped me to solidify the belief that our body and our mind and our spirit are so intricately connected, and that we need to work in all three of these pieces to heal ourselves, to move forward from a cancer diagnosis and all of the things that come from living with cancer. And I wanted to come to a place of serving other people to help them through their cancer diagnosis and beyond. Because sometimes it's the beyond part that's the harder part, the dealing with the grief, the dealing with the guilt, the dealing with the stress, the dealing with the uncertainty, all of the physical, mental, and emotional things that come after cancer. And so I became a certified holistic cancer coach so that I could support other people in the way that I wish I could have been supported. And so my gift to myself is to take care of myself every single day. My scars are my daily reminder that I have work to do, and that my job moving forward is to work on prevention so that I don't ever get sick again. And my job moving forward is to continue to help other people to understand that there are things that we can do. I have spent so much time educating my own two sons who are now adults about what they can be eating and how they can be moving and how they need to learn how to manage their stress so that they can be healthy. So cancer, it changed my life. I am a better human being. I am kinder. I am gentler. I am more connected to myself. I am more in service to other people than I have ever been. And that's what I want for other people, is awareness and then a plan moving forward to manage the pieces that there's not a lot of talking about. Nobody talked to me about what I could do after surgery and chemotherapy. And that's where a lot of the work really comes in. We don't talk about colon cancer. Nobody wants to talk about that. But it's one of the things that is causing illness and death in Canadians day after day after day. It's so high on the list. We have to be talking about it. And people like me who are cancer survivors and cancer thrivers, we need to be sharing our messages, because the messages are also about hope and possibility and the gift of life and how we can take care of ourselves and love our lives, even when we've had cancer. So what can you do? Start to work on prevention in your life, prevention for disease or prevention for recurrence. It doesn't matter. Make lifestyle changes that are going to support your health. Get the help that you need to heal your soul, to deal with the trauma that comes from a cancer diagnosis. Take care of yourself, get screened, advocate for yourself, and I hope that you will also become a cancer thriver. Thank you to Colorectal Cancer Canada for all that you are doing to support people like me and others out there who are just looking for some answers and for support.